Live from the studio of his parents' basement, the Have You Seen It podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across me is the one and only Cash Krause. But before we begin, if you guys can please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. And Cash, first and foremost,
15K to a million. We're on the road.
Hey, yeah, that is what I was going to bring up. You know me too well. By now,
I can read you like a book.
I know. Over 500 movie reviews in our library for the podcast.
Yes.
About 1,100 videos on the YouTube channel. We finally hit 15,000
How many hours? How many hours?
How many watch hours in total? Or
No, how many hours have we spent doing this podcast? Do you think?
It's
do you even
insane.
want to know?
Probably at least 1,000 hours.
Yeah, for sure. If we spent 1,000 hours painting, sculpting, playing piano, we would be artists by now.
We would. Unfortunately, instead, we were like, let's just review movies and trailers.
And we do that for the people, though.
We do it for the peeps.
Absolutely. Of course I can play piano. Of course I can play guitar.
Anyone can do that, but
Jimi
can
Hendrix.
anyone review film?
Takes a very few. You got to have a podcaster's body.
You do.
And that, my friend, are what we were born with.
Hey, we got to figure it out. But
Yes, we do.
Thanks to each and every one of you guys who subscribe to the channel. Pretty cool, hitting 15,000 subs. Yeah. So with that said, Cash,
We have a great week this week.
we do.
2 very different movies.
Very different. You could say that.
Yes. But man, a film that I've been excited for, a film that we've kind of talked about, we did a trailer reaction for. It is Men, a 2022 folk horror, directed by Alex Garland.
Yes.
Love Alex Garland on
Never
this
heard of
podcast.
him. Who's Alex Garland?
Yeah, I talk about his films all the time. Ex Machina.
Of course,
Of
Annihilation.
course, and Annihilation, which is still one of the scariest films for me. But yeah, a folk horror film essentially starring 2 people.
Yes.
There's a few other people in this, but it is
Sprinkled in.
essentially, it is Jessie Buckley, who's amazing. She's great in this kind of role, which she's kind of like has filled a niche hole for.
I guess so, kind of.
And this kind of weird psychological indie horror, elevated horror, some people say. I don't like that. But to me, the star of the show here, playing every man except for one in this film.
Yeah.
Rory Kinnear, I thought he killed it, man. He's playing a lot of different roles, and he brings something new to each and every one. And also a little same traits. Each man has the same exact trait in this one. That's kind of the point of the film, I believe.
Right,
but,
of course.
But yeah, he's great in this.
He is. He knocks it out of the park. I love his quirky character, too, in the beginning. He's just kind of that country man,
Jeff? Jeff? That's his name in
I think
that,
so,
believe?
Jeff.
But yeah, he's nutty professoring this. He is Mike Myers in this. He is playing every single role. How many characters do you think he plays in this?
Like 6?
6, maybe more, yeah. He plays a child in this, which
He plays Jeffrey.
the owner.
And,
That's the main
numerous
guy.
men.
Yeah. I don't think you get names even for a lot of them.
No, you don't.
He plays the vicar, the boy.
Yep.
The 2 guys in the pub.
The pub.
The
and
pub
the police
owner.
officer.
The pub. So it might be more like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the police officer.
I just got to say, how did Harper not see the resemblance in this town,
That's the thing we got to talk about this movie is fucking wild. It is Alex Garland's biggest ask from an audience, for sure.
Absolutely.
Asking a lot of you from this one. This is not a Transformers or Fast and Furious. I'm going to shut my brain off.
No.
This is a film where I thought I had a pretty good idea of what was going on until a certain point. We'll get to that point.
We will.
But I really thought I had a feel of what was happening here, the trauma and whatnot.
Yep.
Of
kind of that classic tale, the same way of like His House or something like that, where you're manifesting this trauma that's happening in your life and trying to deal with it.
Or Ari Aster.
Yes, like Midsommar or Hereditary.
Hereditary for sure, where it's like you're dealing with a great fucking trauma.
Right.
I thought, okay, maybe I'm getting this, right? And then it takes a wild turn. But yeah, Alex Garland's most abstract film, for sure, I would say.
Oh, unquestionably, yeah.
I haven't ran into a lot of people who have great theories of what's this movie really. I mean, I get the major themes for sure,
overall themes,
it's toxic masculinity. It's all these things. It's which was really playing really well for me the entire time.
Yes, I hate when and I talk about this a lot on this podcast. I absolutely hate when films go like super preachy and and wokey, where it's like, oh my God, I get it. Okay, I get it. You know, like Captain Marvel type of thing. But this was done in a very good way, where it's like it does show toxic masculinity, but it's not like in your face being like all men are bad, all men are this, all men are that. Like, I really thoroughly enjoyed the story too, and I enjoyed kind of the discovery of what the hell was going on,
and very scary at times.
Yes,
I was very. We can't take away from that. I was very, very scared. That the whole scene of her going into the woods, I thought, and something I got to talk about
creepy.
too, right off the bat, is the score in this movie is fucking amazing. There are times when the score lines up to exactly what's going on in the movie that is so fucking perfect. If it's one thing, I think the score should be nominated, because even the scene when she's in the church and the score's going, it's playing the entire time, and then she screams and the score just kind of goes right along with the scream, and then the weird cement pedestal thing,
kind of with like the birthing
ancient
type of thing,
like old god, like pre-Christianity, like this thing's been here much longer than people have. But yeah, the score, man, is just so fucking good, and like you said, using Jesse Buckley's voice as a big part of the score too.
He's got a good voice too.
Well, the acoustics in that tunnel. Let's not go past that.
I'm
Okay.
serious, yeah. Where is this tunnel? I must go.
I would not recommend it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think she fucked up going into that tunnel. I think that's where things.
Well, oh
to
my
me,
God.
the flip is there.
But
I don't know exactly. It's hard to tell.
I love the cinematic shot though, and this could be interpreted many different ways. But I love when you see the back of her and it's zooming in, and all you see is blackness.
Yes.
As if she's like moving into the abyss, like the void, or like this.
And her
this
walking in
weird-
the tunnel as the light shrinks behind her, and as an audience member, I was like, oh no, you're gonna go too far, and it's probably all symbolism or something, and it's like you're gonna go too far down this where you can't return at some point.
Yeah.
Or where you're going to run into a man that's going to fuck you
Who
up.
just got dong out, ready for a good time.
Which I thought that was a great scene, too, that scream he gives, the screech.
Yeah.
And then she keeps hearing it as he's running, and you can just feel, it never shows him past that, which is great cinematography. But it never shows him past the tunnel, but you could always feel that he was still running right behind her, right? Yeah.
Well, that's what I love too. Like when there was something so creepy about it. And like if I ever make a horror film, that's something that like I've always wanted to incorporate, those long shots where you see this figure in like a shadow. But it was creepy for me when he stood up and he turns and he just stares and then he starts running after her. I was like, run. Yeah. And that's the feeling you want when you watch a movie like that.
But she
especially a
gave,
horror
it was
film.
exactly, and the writing it was still very good. I mean, it's Axe Guard, and the writing is still amazing, because a lot of times when I would say things like, what the fuck are you? She would immediately turn around and go, what the fuck are you? Yeah. So that's really good writing when you're really getting on the wavelength of the audience, for sure. But yeah, she did the same thing where if I see a guy, he's 1,000 feet away.
Right.
Which that's a great scare in horror films, is seeing a guy and him just turning and running after you. It's like in Get Out. They use it really well in Get Out with the guy, the landscaper guy, where he starts just chugging after. But yeah, my same reaction. It's like, you got a lot of time, but it's like, is this guy really running after me right now?
Well, that was kind of her thoughts too. She was like kind of frozen for a second, like I don't feel comfortable now, especially with this weird inhuman screech. You know,
well, and the guy was zombie-esque. He was goofy ass running.
Not good form.
Oh, not at all.
Was not a runner back in the day.
But yeah, and but great setting up. A lot of tension in this film, for sure.
Yes.
That whole, her even going in the woods and taking the craziest route ever. I'm like, there's no way you're not going to get lost.
That's what I kept thinking.
I'm
over
getting
and
lost
over.
trying to track, like, she goes down an embankment, down like 8 different trails.
And she's kind of following trails, but as you said, there are multiple trails, so it's like they all connect, and it's like, what are you doing? You have no idea of the landscape.
And let's, how'd you get there? The premise of Men is Jessie Buckley's character, right? She has a great tragedy, and and I was shocked that they kind of revealed this so early on. I thought for sure it'd be kind of...
they revealed it in the trailer, though.
Well, no, I mean, just the reveal of, like... Well, because in the trailer they revealed that at some point they think that... I thought they were pushing it that maybe he could have been pushed or something.
Right, fell from the balcony.
But they reveal within the first 30 minutes that her and her boyfriend have a big...
Husband,
yes, have a big breakup. And he does the worst thing you could possibly do. And if I can break up, being like, if you break up with me, it's classic. It's textbook abusive.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
But see, these are real life scenarios.
Very real, of
very
course.
real,
Lots
where-
of women probably go through that.
Absolutely. The exact
yeah.
same thing where it's like, this is on you. I'm projecting this on you when it's clearly your own actions that would cause that.
And then it's the total gaslighting of like, why would you break up with me?
Yeah.
Why? Well,
You said the last thing you'd ever want is for me to, but obviously you want a divorce, so that's not the last thing you want.
You're literally saying, if I don't, you'll kill yourself. Like, what, like, you're, And she even says that at one point. She's like, this is it. This is why. And, but I was really shocked they revealed that, but it really sets up the entire thing and the trauma very early on and why she would stick around in this very bizarre town for so long. Because she had to go over this thing of like, oh, I'm not afraid anymore. I'm going to be strong.
Yep. Leaving
an abusive husband, and then an abusive husband, just complete teen adventure. But yeah, it sets it up very early on. So big tragedy happens, loses her husband. She goes into this random, what's it, Cotsworth or something?
Yeah, it's like a very country.
Of course, it's been
side.
here 1,000 years or whatever. It's
Well, he even says the house is 500 years old.
Yeah, he says the
Parts of it.
church around is the same age as well. Yeah. So she goes, it's a super cool fucking location to shoot a film. It's so
Beautiful,
awesome.
dude.
It feels very old and mysterious, like there's something going on here. Like dark, like pagan god or something right around the corner everywhere you go. Like you said, Rory Kinnear, he's playing every single role. So he plays Jeffrey, the guy who owns the house. This is probably his nicest version of him.
I would say so. But, up until the very end, but it was a lot of fun. And I love just how like quirky and weird he was and like the conversational, like
they let him loose for sure. Yeah. And Rory Kinnear, the first time I saw Rory Kinnear was Black Mirror. He's in the episode where he has to fuck the pig. He's the president.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and
he's
in a lot of James Bond as well. He plays M's like assistant or whatever. But that's the first. He's not afraid to go wild, and he's not afraid to hang dong.
No, you cannot. If you're in the film industry, you got to be good with hanging your dong out.
You might think going to Jackass 4 forever this year, you're going to see the most penis. No, you haven't seen Men yet.
You haven't.
You haven't seen Men yet.
See, Jackass was February, but we're in May now. So you're going to see a lot of dong.
This is the summer of dong, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Well, you have this. You had X as well.
Yep.
You got a lot of dong in this year thus far.
Hey, we ain't mad.
I'm not mad at it.
No one's mad at it.
I'm pro dong.
But man, who is it? But of course,
I know.
Rory Kinnear, man, right off the bat, not afraid of hanging it down.
And naked a vast majority of this film, too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You get Rory Kinnear penis, and you get Rory Kinnear mangina,
which a 2-for-1 special. Tell you.
And just imagine the special effects guys. What an ask.
Look, imagine the pitch meeting for that.
Imagine the email. We got your email.
We're just
got to clear some things up. Once again, give us a call when you can, Alex.
Got a couple questions.
Maybe we put some typos in the email. We thought,
right? Did you say mangina?
Yeah, you might have meant something else.
I don't
think it's very professional to even say it in an email. But
is this a prank?
Give us a call back. It's I can. They're not paid enough.
No, they're not.
That's for sure.
Not for something like that.
And for the expert CGI too, it's very good CGI.
It is.
Yeah.
I would say the only CGI that I wasn't a huge fan of was the boy. That was very apparent.
Yeah.
But the birthing in that CGI was very good because there were more shadows.
Yeah. And the makeup and everything of the practical effects of making Rory Kinnear look like so many different people and whatnot, with like the teeth for sure.
Absolutely.
Out of the
Jeffrey teeth
were fantastic, and the vicar had different teeth, and because it's English teeth, they don't know. So it's a train wreck. Okay, they don't have dental over there yet.
No.
But yeah, they did a great job of that, and the CGI is incredible. But it definitely gets scary at some point. Well, once she thinks all these guys are like stalking her or whatever, it gets freaky when she goes into the church.
Yeah.
And then the vicar is like, he's a classic pervert.
Classic pervert.
Classic priest pervert.
First, she deals with the boy, who is obviously very troubled right away.
Yeah, and I still gave a laugh when he took his mask off and it was Rory Kinnear.
Yeah, I know. I was
Funny
like,
to me. Yeah, but that's where it kind of gets at to it's all these different versions of men at different times or whatever like that. But you can see it's all leading up to them all being very toxic, horrible people. Right?
all in different ways as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The boy he was bitter. He was hurt at a very young age or whatever, and now he's already hates women.
Right, lashes out at women. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Because he probably doesn't have a mother, whatever, and it's like.
And then you've got the vicar who is obviously suppressed or repressed, whatever, not able
he's
to.
He's a rapist. Yeah, he's a monster for sure. I mean,
so therefore he's a monster because he's not. He can't.
And then you get the Jeffrey character who he says one line at some point where he goes, "My dad told me this at 7 years old. Is this you never make a soldier
never make
or whatever?
Good soldier, yeah."
And then you start to see that he's got this toxic masculinity where she's at one point telling him, "Don't fucking go out there."
Right.
There's all kinds of crazy shit going on, and he of course the very manly thing to do. Is go out there, anyway. And of course he gets disappeared or whatever. Right. But yeah, there's all these different versions of, and even the cop, the police officer, who had no sympathy at all.
None.
The female officer, but the cop had zero sympathy at all.
Yep.
And not even thinking that bringing up that we just released this guy that was stalking
might
you
be
naked.
Traumatizing for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's
zero thought in it.
None.
Zero fucking thought. So I liked all of that. I thought that was a great writing, and this movie's only an hour 40 minutes long,
perfectly paced.
Exactly. It really, once it starts heating up, once all the versions start attacking her, and she starts wounding them, we got to talk about the arm split. Is fucking great. I mean, it is used a lot more than I thought it was going to be.
It is. It looked really good, but. What I loved about that is obviously that was, and we all know this, I'm just bringing it up, it's a manifestation of how her husband killed himself with obviously landing on the pike and his hand being severed down.
The thing I didn't love was how they kind of really made it clear that you had to realize that, because at one point, I wish they had another scene in there that kind of did that for you without him literally saying, this is me. This is what happened to me. I'm just all these versions, and this are the wounds. He even says my hands got split. I wish there was like an autopsy or something at some point that kind of listed off the wounds or something, because it just felt like. But without that scene, I wasn't catching it that it was all those wounds or whatever. So they had to have that scene. I just wish it was a more natural way of doing it than him just kind of being like exposition dump. This is me. This is what happened to me. Because all the wounds that she ends up wounding all the different versions of Rory
were all the wounds he sustained when he
fell off the building. Yeah. He got the only thing that they don't show is, which I liked, was the big split in his head, and you have to assume that the last scene is her caressing the axe blade at the very end, and I'm guessing it's her giving him the axe.
Oh, the old axe.
A little Lizzie Borden action going on.
Well, I mean, it was pretty easy to pick up, but I picked that up in the first instance when the cop was out there, and then he transforms into something else, and then immediately the ankle broke to the side. Because I had that picture, and then the hand split happens, and I was like, okay, these are all the injuries that her husband sustained.
But yeah, let's go back to that knife cut though. I was squirming in my seat, dude.
I loved it.
Oh, so did I. It was so good.
And it looked real.
The detail of you could see the muscle, the veins,
skin,
the bones.
Because
you think normally, that would happen. You never see that wound again. Something would happen. Hit the whole. At one point, he uses because the knife splits his arm completely down, and now he's got little
2 arms,
little alien arms.
Yeah.
And at one point, he grabs shoulder.
I knew it. I knew you.
And I thought he was gonna start.
Make it relax.
It's my good arm.
I can do more with it now. Yeah.
And it wasn't even the thing, but it was in between her neck too, where it's and to me too, they kind of almost infer that there's some kind of alien aspect. That shot where she's running down the street, and they zoom up, and it's
the stars in the galaxy and all that.
Yeah.
And then the car comes back.
And then it's Rory. It's Jeffrey.
Freaking out. Yeah, Jeffrey.
The nicest of them all. But yeah, that's all. I thought those scares just all worked for me, man. If that was that last half hour, you're on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, you really are.
You don't know what's gonna happen.
No.
And all these different versions, and they're all being the worst part of themselves. With like the priest part when he's up in her room, and he's about to,
and he's literally like conveying to her, like, it's
oh,
your
he
fault.
says some dirty ass shit,
right?
Yeah.
He asked her when obviously things like, what age did you lose your virginity?
Yeah,
and then
classic priest,
right? Of course. And then he's getting on his hands and knees and blaming her for him being sexually attracted to her.
Just
Being
how
like,
he
it's
blamed
all
her.
your fault, bringing it in.
So
and
he
stuff.
blamed her for killing her husband.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all these. These are all they're all like the amalgam of the worst traits of men. I mean, it really
true.
is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not like you said, it's not like a super woke. I mean, you can't argue any of these traits.
No. And that's the
mean,
difference.
it is.
That's the big difference with film here is it's like everyone knows there are categories of like certain types of people, right?
Right.
They're not categorizing all people in any which way, but they did it in a really good way where it was a solid message. And also, like, we all know that there are people like that.
I know every different version of it.
Of exactly.
I mean, I'm sure I have these versions of some of them in me. Yeah.
And see, that's what's crazy is like I started thinking about that, and I was like, okay, I know someone kind of like that. I know someone kind of like that.
For sure.
It's just
exactly.
like it really is. That's why it's good writing.
Yes, it is. It is great writing, but man, it takes a sharp right at some point.
Yeah.
And at some point, and we'll talk. We got in spoilers the entire time. We got to talk about it.
We have to.
Okay. And this is what everyone's talking about right now. This is what the world's talking about. Anyone who's seen Men is talking about this scene. So if you haven't seen it yet, you might want to shut this off and go watch it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's not even going to ruin any of the plot of the movie at all for you. It's not going to change anything of the movie, but you're definitely going to want to get a reaction naturally.
Yeah.
Because my reaction was hilarious, I assume, if I could see my own face. But at the very end, she's wounded all these different versions of Rory. He's like going through them all really fast now. It's like he's having some problems. Something's going on. That's one thing is this Rory Kinnear character. He's not a god. He can be wounded and hurt and all these different things. I don't know what he is. I mean, if there is like if it's not just like just an amalgam of trauma and whatnot. If there's an actual answer to what he is, it's like he's like it.
Yes.
Where he can transform, but once he gets wounded, he's like flashing through all these fucking things. And at one point, he gets in her car, tears her out of the car, and it's hilarious. He just takes off, gone
right down the road. And that's when we get the space galaxy scene,
which is a
really
great
beautiful.
shot. It's such a good shot, and there has to be something to that. It's Alex Garland, it's sci-fi, so it has to be something to that more than just it's a beautiful shot. Because it seemed otherworldly.
It did.
It gave me kind of like Mandy vibes when they would show you the space and be like another world. But he comes flying back. He must have had to do a UE somewhere. Like he must have known you can't be in that. Yeah, but and that's a very tense scene. But he rams the car and he gets his ankle broke just like her husband did when he jumped out the window. And but he looks like his stomach's a little full. He ate something on the way.
Too much. Hey, he stopped for fast food. Flipped
he got a burger.
Came back.
And then it just gets fucking wild.
Oh yeah, he starts crawling after,
but his stomach's expanding,
and it's like, what the hell?
Expanding bigger than the birth of an average child.
And I had no idea at this point. I'm like, what is this trying to show? And then when it started, they do the close up.
Yes.
It's just mangina right away.
It's the scene where for average viewers, they're getting up and leaving.
Yes.
We haven't seen that in any Alex Garland film yet. They've always been pretty abstract and like where you got to think about it. Mm-hmm. Annihilation, could be a million different things. Right. But this is the one where they let him go.
They did.
They let Garland go.
And I can honestly say this definitively: there's never been such a scene in cinema ever. I truly believe this is the first time.
I believe we get 4 male births.
We do.
All different. I mean, all as far as male births go, expertly crafted, expertly executed.
Yes, and it makes me not ever want to give birth.
Oh my god, dude! Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, and that had to have been another thing. Of course, that had been a thing of like, yeah. But he's giving. So each version is birthing a version of himself. So Rory's gonna birth. He bursts the vicar at one point. Yep. He bursts the cops.
And
so they're full body. So this is stretching that vag out, man.
Oh, it is.
It's a gaper. Well, some of them are coming out.
The last one, the feet first coming out of his mouth. And I'm like, oh, my God.
That looks so cool, though.
It was sick.
When, like, he came out of it and then it showed and his face was all fucking broken. It looked so good. But I just, like I said, I mean, to be a fly on the wall of Alex Garland directing these special effects guys,
and that's another thing too, like the special effects of like
the guy that should win an award. It looks so good.
Of like giving birth and like the blood and the gook and the goo and all that kind of stuff looked really spot on.
That's what I was thinking too. Like I can't say I've seen it a lot.
No,
but I've seen in some help, and it looked like the straight up like it's like the sack and whatnot, like the placenta coming out and all this, like
all of it.
It made me squirm a lot.
Oh yeah.
It's just and maybe that was a point of like to get the men in the audience, because you can't imagine that women are squirming that much at this.
No, probably not as nearly as much, right? They're like, it's giving birth.
But I mean, there wasn't very many people in the audience, but I mean, I could tell the men in the audience were, getting uncomfortable. And if that is the point, then it's kind of genius.
Mm-hmm. It is. Because
that's a whole nother level of filmmaking. Because I don't think there's any guy in this unless you're a doctor who's uncomfortable with this, which is so weird. It's such a weird thing too, that we wouldn't be comfortable with the most natural thing in literally the world. People stop doing it. There's no exist. But
I was uncomfortable with it.
I'll be right there with a minute of birth. There's nothing more unnatural to a man than which is so fucking. It's very weird. But if he's doing that, then Alex Garland might be, a genius on a whole nother level. Mm-hmm. So he's like, I'm really gonna fuck with men at this point.
It's so funny because Devin asked me multiple times. He's like, "How was Men?" And I looked at him. I go, "Devin." I said, "Devin, it's the craziest movie I've ever seen." And like, I'm dead serious. This film is more just off the wall crazy than I think Midsommar was, than Hereditary. Like this, I think is the craziest A24 film just for that scene alone, dude. Because you can have it's like super unique. This is something that you'll probably never see again, or if you see it, it won't be at the same capacity as the first time you ever saw it. If you've seen Men,
well, maybe not a film released this widely. There's definitely a lot of indie things that are probably just as weird and bizarre as this, absolutely, but maybe not this thing this widely. Yeah.
And just the close up too, the close up of the mangina spreading, and then you
multiple
times. You just see the head come out.
Well, that's the funny thing is dude. At first you're like, oh whoa, that was wild. Then the second time you're like, okay, we're doing this one more time. Then the third time you're like. What? And by the fourth time, you're like, all right, let's bring this on, Rory. Let's fucking go. Let's.
That is so true.
I'm here for it.
After the first time, I was like, okay, that was wild. And then it happened a second time. I go, okay, I guess we're doing this again. And then by the third time, I'm like, all right, apparently we're just going to keep giving birth over and over. But I did know inevitably James would be the last one, which is her husband.
Yeah, it had to happen, of course, yeah. And that's the nastiest one because it comes feet first, and his little ankle's broke, remember?
Yep.
Feet bob out, and then ankle. And he keeps going. It's fucking... But this is the thing, dude. It wasn't all in her head. Clearly.
No, because her friend shows up, and there's everything actually happened. Yeah.
So what the fuck is...
Imagine explaining that one to your friend.
So that's the thing. It's like you can really dissect this film in a million ways.
Well, and we didn't even talk about like the branch god or whatever that.
No, that was the whole thing, and that's what I loved about it too. Was I talked about a little bit about it being this ancient like pagan god of like the land, like the Green Man or something like that. Who Rory Kinnear at one point becomes, and then it also shows that these people are kind of these Rorys are kind of worshiping this thing. Yeah. That makes me think that maybe, I don't know, the Rory ship crashed here 1,000 years ago. They've set up the city, and ever since then, they've been worshiping this ancient god that at some point will come back. Yeah. Which they tried to do.
They did.
But luckily for us, old Jesse Buckley took an axe to that thing. Yeah. Stabbed in more ways than one.
Yeah.
Which you got to do to an old ancient god.
You do.
I hear. Yes. But I love the scene of when Rory Kinnear is actually has become that thing. And he's got the full-on green in it, like the mask and everything looks horrifying.
I actually like the scene, too, where he's got all the dandelions.
So good. Dandelions play a huge role in this.
Yeah. And he blows it, and it's just kind of that
Yeah, what does that mean?
slow-mo.
This thing of, like, a bunch of images of, like, rebirth with, like, the deer carcass.
Yep.
And dandelion going in that, and then the maggots and, like, this
out.
life cycle kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not smart enough to figure it out. That's for damn sure.
You know,
and
you
maybe
guys
Alex
know.
Garland is the only person who does know.
Yeah.
But for what it was, I actually ended up really enjoying it. I'm
As did I.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of a Garland fanboy for sure. It's my least favorite of Alex Garland stuff, but it's very unique, man, and
It's
I like that
super
kind
unique.
of thing.
And that's what I like too. And it's good storytelling. Obviously, you know, it's open to interpretation, but I found myself like, and this is what I love when I go to film, is I found myself like not just sitting there, but like zoning in and like really paying attention because I wanted to understand everything. I wanted to have some sort of comprehension about what was going on. And though I don't have obviously all the answers, I have a great understanding of like what this film was about, what it was trying to, you know, say. And it did a good job of conveying that, even with all the wonky, crazy shit like men giving
Which
birth
it really
and stuff.
only gets crazy those last 10 minutes. But the entire time I'm thinking the same thing as I'm trying to figure this thing out. You know, what it all means and whatnot. I loved the whole element of Roy Kinnear playing every man. I mean, that's the only reason this works so well is because he plays every single role. But yeah, I love questioning. And the whole time I'm worried about this ending is not going to be worth the build up. And I gotta say, the ending was a lot crazier than anything I could have.
Yeah.
I was hoping that this movie's setting up to be so crazy. It ended up being 10 times crazier than what I thought it was gonna be. It ended up being a little bit too much crazier. You know, it's got real mixed reviews right now.
That's what I was going to ask because I have not looked up the Rotten Tomato score for this.
It's
yet.
got about 70 something from critics and a 50% from users did not like it.
Okay, so as it sits right now, this is updated. 75% certified fresh with 155 reviews. Only 48% of the audience members liked it.
That was my initial thought walking out from that film was this film is not for everyone. This film is not going to sit well with a lot of fucking people. A lot of people who just do not like to have to think about their films.
I didn't feel myself really having to think about it. I thought it was pretty transparent what the message was and how they conveyed it. This wasn't like a deep, yes, I guess for average moviegoers, I suppose so, but...
Well, it's just that end, dude. That end is not going to sit well for you. I mean, 95% of this film, I think people are going to be right there for. Mm-hmm. Because the scares are so good.
They are.
You know, the use of Rory Kinnear, the use of that naked guy, especially when she's walking around the house and he doesn't know that she's looking in, and then the hands come in.
It's wild.
The double hands with the
And I love the way they shot that because like that whole time
good.
she doesn't know, but he's like sitting
And you're
there
thinking
and
she's going to see it on the phone.
Yep, that's what I thought. Yeah.
You think she's going to be like, her friend's going to be like, what the fuck's that guy behind you?
That's something too that I appreciate about like horror A24 films is you see so many of these opportunities in like a horror film where you're like, okay, here comes a jump scare, here comes something, and it never happens. But the payoff for like that scene makes it so much more realistic and so much better, and actually in a lot of ways more scary.
Yeah,
because like, you know, then it sets up the fact that this naked man gets arrested. And it's better prepped for the entire film because then later on it's like, and then we just let him out. You know what I mean? You get the reveal with the cop in that way. Instead of just having these cheap scares, these cheap jump scares, it's actually something that moves along the story.
Yeah, so many films these days you can really predict just seeing the first 10 to 20 minutes. You know how this film is going to be laid out. It's going to be played out. So I'm probably a little higher on this than 75% just because this film... You're never going to predict it.
No.
Not a million years are you going to predict a man
Unless you
gives birth
listen to this first.
Yeah. But so that's why I'm probably just a little bit higher as I like the originality of it, man.
As did I. I actually, I enjoyed this quite a bit. It's just one of those films.
Acting is great. Acting is so
phenomenal.
Jesse Buckley does amazing.
And we haven't even really touched up on that. The scenes between Harper and James when they're breaking up is incredible acting, man.
Well,
really good.
I talked a little bit of that scene of her in the church, too, where she just screams.
Screaming, yes, in torment.
Yeah, this is one where it's like, it was so fucking bizarre and weird, but I kind of look forward to seeing it again.
Yeah.
just because that score was amazing and,
Well,
and all that. Maybe, yeah. I don't know if I can watch it.
I told Mary, I was like, you're watching this with me for sure. You got to watch this with me.
Yeah,
It's wild.
I want to watch it with some people just to get that reaction of them going like, wait, what the fuck's happening right now? Yeah.
Okay, we got to do a funny, like maybe a bonus content. Ken reaction. Dude, that reaction.
We should start doing really abstract films with Ken where it's like, and then just sit down with him and be like, Ken, what does that mean?
What did that mean?
What is it?
I have no idea.
I hated it.
I hated it. Where's Rambo? Where's Bruce Willis?
That would be. I just imagine anger. Just
Oh,
mad.
just pure anger and confusion.
Just
a lot of
gets up,
confusion.
starts walking. I can't wait. You gotta. Yeah, I
Shoot a video here. And we just turn a vlog style,
pure
falling
anger
around,
and confusion.
slamming doors. I wasted an hour and 40 minutes of my
Oh,
life.
he's mad. Yeah, kicking the dog. He's fucking. He's taking it out on everyone. Maybe not a good idea though.
Yeah, probably not.
But yeah, man. Wild film.
Yeah, great. I can say this now.
It's 8:24. That's what you got to learn to
gotta
expect
expect
at this
it.
point.
And it's very early. We're almost halfway through the year, but as it sits right now, this film is unquestionably in my top 10. Like, I enjoyed it that much.
I thought
And a
the same
film
thing going
I'm
into
actually going
it,
to
yeah.
rewatch it too.
I thought the same thing. Yeah.
And there's not a lot of film that I like to rewatch outside of like the classics, like Back to the Future, Jaws, Star Wars, all that kind of stuff. The Shining. Like, I can rewatch those, but it takes a very special movie for
Right.
me to want to watch it again.
Oh, yeah.
And this is definitely on that list. So
For sure. I'd recommend it.
alrighty, well, that is our review for Men. If you guys like what you're seeing here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krause, and until next time.
Bye.